We're currently living in challenging and uncertain times. And at the time of this conversation, there's a lot going on with COVID-19 globally. And I'm living in Singapore. So I've been seeing kind of the wave as it has hit Asia and Singapore. And then as things are returning to a state of what I'll call more normalcy, so about 40% there, I'm seeing a second wave as it enters the US and Europe. And there are a few different things that have come to mind as a result of this year. One, for me, it's the realization that in this this challenging and uncertain time, we've actually been in a period of challenging and uncertain times for quite a while. A period that's quite volatile, period that has a lot of ambiguity and constant disruptions and changes. The element for me that really seems to fly through is we're in a period of where it feels like there's exponential change. The change builds on top of the change and builds on top of that change at a more and more rapid rate, rather than being in a place of incremental progress. And the other day I was on a call with my coaching mastermind, and the leader there asked a question. He asked three questions actually, and ended up changing everything for me. The first question was, how are you showing up as a leader to your tribe? And honestly, you know that I keep things honest with you as I myself am a trailblazer in my own path. And there was a part that I realized in that conversation that at times I come off as a participant in the tribe because I am also a trailblazer. I am also on this journey with you. And it really just gave me an opportunity to slow down and look at some of my own actions to see what would real leadership look like in this case. And that opened up a certain thought process. It's not like the answer came to me right away, but there was an awareness that showed up that made me really look at the actions that I'm taking and where I was still waiting on others or playing it in a way that felt participatory while still leading from I don't know how to exactly put it, but it's like leading from a place of not taking on the full leadership. The second question he asked was, what do your clients need? And that got me thinking and bringing out some different answers, especially with taking back on the mantle of really leading this tribe of trailblazers. But then he asked a third question that blew my mind and really got me in a completely different mindset. And the question he asked was, what do your clients need? And that level, go in multiple levels deeper, brought out something within me that helped me see almost like click almost all the different parts of my purpose, my mission, and why we work together here as outliers and trailblazers. Because we're at an inflection point in the world. We're change agents, we're change makers, we're people who see things differently and creating new paths for people in the world that didn't seem like they were there before. And as a combination of those questions and that experience, I had a very visceral feeling where inside I actually felt it right into the center of my chest, and it started emanating outwards. And it was almost as though my heart was knew in that moment that we're not here to prepare for an inflection point. We are actually in that inflection point right now. And as a result, my mind started looking at the problems very differently. My mind started looking at how I show up for you and how I show up in the world very differently. Not from the standpoint of one day we'll get to the point or when one day this will be needed, but asking myself the question, if this is needed now, how would I show up? And so there are a number of different things that I'm going to be co-creating to really be a part of the conversation of COVID here. When you watch this period of time will hopefully be behind us, at least in terms of the challenging and uncertain period related specifically to COVID-19. But we will still be in overall a period of challenging, uncertain, volatile, and ambiguous situations. And that is where the trailblazers are necessary. because we will find paths and help guide people in ways using the things that make us different to make a difference. Times are changing and we are needed now. For me, it's going to be co-creating conversations and giving people an opportunity to explore all the different emotions that are taking place as they're going through these challenging times, and giving them chances to come and brainstorm and heartstorm together. And there are a number of different ways that I'm going to do it, because I've been building myself up and getting ready for this moment for 30 plus years. Now is the time. I want to just create that. I want to document this period in time for all of us. Where in your life and in your change mission and journey are you looking for the change to happen in the future? And what is one thing that you can do today to act as though that change is needed now? Today we get to spend some time with someone who has helped me navigate change quite a bit. And we are going to be in this space here together of growing, of nurturing one another, of being with what's real together. And I got a chance to spend time with Catherine. And Catherine, I'm going to invite you to unmute yourself. I'll just unmute you right now. It's absolutely a pleasure to be able to just be in this conversation with you, to slow down a bit and find myself even grounded more with you here. And I'll also say this here. I have a feeling, I'll tell you, when I like being in this space with you right now, there's a feeling of warmth, care, full care that comes through. And also just a general solidness in knowing that wherever you and I go, we'll both be taken care of in this conversation. Mm-hmm. So I'm really thrilled to be in this space and to have this opportunity to continue this journey in this way with you. It's good to have you here, Catherine.
Thank you. I have that same warm, fuzzy feeling. I feel warm and full, and like this is a beautiful space where something will be created, something will be discovered, and I'm excited to find out what it's going to be.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Recently, I've been finding that sense of not knowing what it is that is going to be discovered, but being excited for the discovery is actually something that shows up for my people a lot, right? Where it's like, because we're playing the game of creating something that hasn't been done, and being able to see what hasn't been seen is a great tool to have as we do that.
And how lovely to be able to enjoy the anticipation of the thing. So often, as leaders, we're focused on getting somewhere, and we think that destination is what it's about. So yeah, I'm enjoying the anticipation right here in this moment.
Awesome. And let's also spend some time getting there. So, Catherine, I'd love to start out with just making sure that I really slow down and get to know you, right? To start out here, I'm curious, firstly, about like some of your outer accomplishments, the things that people might see from you from an outside perspective. It will sound a little bit like your bio. It will have a little bit of like your professional accomplishments, the things that you're really proud of. But I'd love to just spend some time just getting a chance to know you, see the game that you've been playing, and really just in my mind, what I think about is a bit of your highlight reel. Like if you're really going to let us know who you are from the outside accomplishment perspective, would you mind sharing with us a little bit about you?
Absolutely. So as far as outside accomplishments go, I'm trying to figure out exactly where to start. I found myself on an airplane in a jump seat when I was 23 years old. I was a flight attendant, and I was a very unhappy flight attendant. I thought it was the world's worst job, and had a conversation with the gal next to me that ended up inspiring me to do what I had been thinking about doing, which was go to law school. And so I went to law school specifically for the purpose of helping people with estate planning and elder law. My own mom had become incapacitated when I was still very young. When I was 12, she thought she had Alzheimer's. When I was 22, I put her into a nursing home. And so I was, at 23, still her primary caregiver. Lawyer was very helpful. So went to law school, had a baby right before law school, had another baby during law school, became a single mom during law school. And it wasn't easy, but I have the wiring that makes me pursue what I want, no matter what's going on around me. And so I ended up, after law school, in a large downtown Denver law firm in the corporate litigation department, not exactly the helping profession I was looking for. And yet I really loved the challenge of writing the briefs and arguing with opposing counsel and doing all of that. There was something fun about it. But my heart said there's something more. And so eventually, through some twists and turns, I ended up going to a legal publishing company where there were 100 attorneys who were all hired at the same time at LexisNexis for this big project that was very important to the company. And I was promoted twice within the first, 6 or 8 weeks. And so pretty soon I was managing a team. And I was still a young, very insecure woman who's now in charge of a team of lawyers, which was a little bit intimidating to me, but I loved the challenge. And I found myself, my team always had the highest quality of any of the teams, the highest quantity, and the highest job satisfaction. And I took great pride in that. I was also the only one who was willing to have tough conversations with the members of my team when they were not performing. And yet I still struggled because I wanted everybody to like me. Anyway, I went from that to eventually starting my own law firm, Hammond Law Group, founded 15 years ago. And I started at my kitchen table as a single mom. They told me I didn't have enough money to start a law firm, and I did it anyway. Just wanted to help people. Had no big dream or vision other than helping people. And things progressed quickly. 15 years in, last year, we ended the year just a fraction under $2 million in revenue. We have 4 attorneys and a team of 14 people who love what they do, and we get to serve the world together. I've been privileged to give the keynote for the Alzheimer's Association fundraiser for Southern Colorado. They raised double their fundraising goal when I spoke. I've been voted best attorney in Colorado Springs multiple times, and trying to think of other fun awards and things. But that's the highlights for me as far as accomplishments. And as you know, Niyama, I have added in professional coaching over the last year, and so that's been a fun way to stretch myself at a place where I was feeling a little bit stagnant. Wanted to stretch myself some more.
Catherine, I'm glad we started out this way and just getting a chance to see a little bit more of your journey. What I get from this year is I really love how you're like, I'm someone who when I want something, I'm going to go out and make sure that I get it. Um, and at the same time, this element of how do I help people, and really letting that come forth first and foremost. And I really do I acknowledge you for uh, the accomplishments that you've shared here. I acknowledge you for being the person who has brought that to life as well. And I get excited knowing that we can be in this conversation, having all that in place, and knowing that there's still other things that are growing for you. I think one of the things that I can find myself right now in this conversation, like keeping out here, but I think like one of the things that I really appreciate about our conversations is that we're always able to get to what's real for both of us. And it you talked about anticipation and not really knowing. That element always surprises me what that happens to be in our conversation. We got a chance to get to know you from like the professional side of things here. I find myself also curious for you, like as you would define yourself here in this current moment when it comes to life outside of the professional world. Uh, what like what would you like me to know about you right now?
The most important thing is that I am the mother of two amazing young women and the Mimi of three amazing young granddaughters. And that really is a large part of the focus of my life. I was very busy when I was raising my children, and pouring into my granddaughters now is my very favorite thing that I do. I love what I do in the business, and I really love what I do as a Mimi. Mm. So that's first and most important. I am a seeker. I am hungry to know more. I am hungry to be more. I am driven to learn and become like nobody else that I know. My life is, I wake up in the morning and I have my morning routine, and then as soon as I start getting ready, I'm listening to podcasts. I read a ton. I take notes from everything that I read. I underline. I get frustrated that I can't remember it all, that I can't soak it all in. I'm easily excited by ideas and concepts, and I want to I want to bring them out to the world and share some of the brilliance that I get to soak in on a daily basis. And I'm really getting really real here. I am just in the process here at age 55 of getting to know my own brilliance. I mean, I've known some of my brilliance from an intellectual perspective. I've trusted everybody else's brilliance more than my own. And that's my current journey. Really seeing and trusting what's in here, what's deep in here, and trusting my knowing as much as I trust everybody else's.
So, Catherine, are you willing to let that brilliance get a chance to play with that brilliance here in this conversation?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, please.
Okay, wonderful. And what I'm going to ask with that then is to let's see if we can go a step beyond willingness here. What I feel right now is like I would love to be able to play with that brilliance at hand. We don't need to go. We can go wherever we need to if it needs to be directly around the brilliance and explore more. But more than anything else, I love for experiences need to be a chance for us to practice and grow and be in the messiness of it and discover more about our brilliance, discover more about ourselves, and continue discovering more about who we are, even at this stage in the game. Mm. And so All right, awesome. So let's play not in the intellectual. Let's just see what shows up when we're both coming from our brilliance here.
Mm.
So from that perspective, the game is on. Let's go with this here. I really respect you, and I want to see here what would make this conversation a very meaningful conversation for you.
Well, to have an experience of the brilliance that's here, to discover something else about how to bring that out, or how I have been covering that up, and so that I can release that. And right now in this moment, you talked about COVID-19. That's very present for me. And with my business, I am in the business of serving people, age 60 and older, the people right now who have been said to be at risk, largely through events. Events are what we do as a business. We have more than 70 events this year, live in-person events for people 60 and over, many of whom are not comfortable with technology. And so I have a business here with 14 people who are all dependent on the firm for their ability to pay their mortgage and buy their food. And I really want to figure out how to better serve our community in the middle of this. What are the needs that our community has? Of course, physical needs. What are their legal needs? And what are their emotional and spiritual needs? That's where I want to go.
Fantastic. All right, so let's play a little bit here. Let's start off first with orienting toward the brilliance, because there's elements of this here where there are answers to the physical and legal needs and such that I feel like you do know, and we'll get some time to. I know I don't know, but we'll get some time to pull out and extract it as we need to. But there's an element as you were saying this and talking about the 70 plus events and all the live in-person events that you have. There's an element that was running through to me where, in my mind, I'm like, they're coming for the events, but they're also coming through your brilliance. There's something about you and the way that you show up that is already contributing toward that. And so as we're looking to serving in new ways, or serving, seeing how you're going to navigate things in the business, given some of what's going on in the environment right now, I'd love to do it, seeing if we can start with orienting from your brilliance. How does that sound to you?
Sounds awesome.
Okay, cool. So tell me what you know about your brilliance right now.
So what's coming to me is the distinction between my brilliance and my brilliance. Mm-hmm. And when you talked about people are coming to the events for my brilliance, I have had the thought that they're coming for what I know, for the hope that I'll be able to say something, that I'll say just the right thing that will change something for them, that I'll say just the right thing that will inspire them, that will help them to better live their legacy, that will help them to have a better plan in place to make things easier for their loved ones when they become incapacitated or die. I believe that brilliance is something that emanates from here and maybe goes up through my mind. So it's interesting to me that I've had an idea in my head when it comes to me and my clients. What I need to bring is something from here that is, quote unquote, brilliant. That's what is coming up for me.
So I'm getting you right. You have like a mind brilliance, and then you also have like a heart brilliance. And what I'm hearing you say, if I'm getting this right, is that what you feel that you're bringing to people and what you think that they're asking for is around the mind and the brain brilliance. Like, I'm going to say something clever, and they're going to hear it, and they're going to intellectualize it, and they're going to be inspired or motivated for however long that is. But there's something else that is also driving that, which is the heart brilliance that might then be translated through the brain. Am I getting that right here?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, This is just occurring to me as we're talking, that I've had that story going on in my head that I need to bring the brain brilliance to my clients.
So if that case, let's just play this out a little bit then. That case, what I hear you saying is that that it actually might be starting from the heart brilliance and then coming out and being delivered through the brain brilliance. Tell me more about the heart brilliance for you. That's orienting this. Yeah, I could see.
Well, that question scared me a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have an immediate answer. Oh, tell you about the heart brilliance. It's the knowing that I have just as much access to wisdom as anybody else on the planet. I firmly believe that. And so it's getting rid of the layers of things that are on top of that, all of the performance related stuff that I have been caught up in that has kept me performing more than being and connecting and allowing. I'm a pretty damn good performer.
And keep going.
I was going to say, I was chosen. I don't know if you know who Darren Hardy is, publisher of Success Magazine. Great guy. I've learned so much from him. I did his high performance forum group for entrepreneurs with $1 million company or more. And I did that for a couple of years. And then I was chosen for his elite group, which was 24 people out of all of the groups that he had done of these $1 million or more business owners. He chose me as one of the 24 to spend 2 years together with the founder of Remax, with my friend Brad from Canada, who started a toy company in his basement and ended up getting out of it and making like $500 million, and all of these crazy successful people. I have performed in a way that has put me in those kinds of situations a lot in my life. And yet that the performing got in the way of me. Oh gosh, I'm going to be messy here. In those situations, building deep relationships with people, because I was so afraid that I wouldn't perform well, that I didn't measure up to everybody else's standard. And if they really saw me inside of there, who I was, they would know that I didn't belong with the rest of them, that I never really shared myself. Um, hmm. Yeah, and how am I doing that now with my clients and friends and whoever else in the world?
Let me just check in with you right now. If we get to how you're feeling, what's going on in your body right now as you're expressing this?
Hmm. I feel warm energy in my chest and going up into my jaw. A little bit of buzzing. It feels, if I had to choose positive or negative, it feels more positive. Yeah.
So tell me more about how this relates to you and your heart brilliance.
Mm. When I am stuck in my mind and in performing, there's no room for my real brilliance. I shut it out. I close it off. I'm not even necessarily connected to it.
And how connected do you feel in this moment to it?
Mm. Some. I felt more connected a few minutes ago.
Okay, so let's go back there. And part of this here is just the practice of being able to access it, let it go, be able to come back to it as well. So let's practice on that. If you, for yourself, you can do what you need. If you're able to get yourself back to close to that, let me know when you're ready to continue this conversation.
I'm ready.
Okay, awesome. So there's an element of you that's, well, let me just ask you from here, we can keep going down this path, right? And I wanted to check in with you. What would really serve you to talk about right now?
Going down this path.
Yeah.
Seeing what's here.
So you brought up being in a number of different rooms and having to measure up to other people's standards. And that in particular was really, like, it felt really curious to me. I'm curious now for yourself, coming from this place of your heart brilliance, like, what are your own standards?
So there are the standards that I have had for myself, and coming from my own brilliance, my real standards for myself. Those are to be real, to be love, to be all of who I am, to be my highest and best self for each moment. And to be becoming, or unleashing, or unraveling the programming so that I'm more connected to all of who I really am.
I'm really curious about this here. As we can stay, as we're in this space, if your people weren't coming for the brain brilliance as you thought, but they're really coming for the heart brilliance, what's the gift that they get a chance to experience, even when you might be, let's say, closer to the performance mode?
Mm. I see them. They get to be seen. Even when I'm closer to performance mode, I see people and I hold people. I hold space for people.
What else?
Mm.
There's an element here. My intuition right now feels like it's like there's something that you want to say that you don't want to say. What is that thing?
Yeah, I don't know what that is yet. I mean, there was something that just came to me when you said what else. I can be kind of annoyingly fierce and focused and drill into things in a way that most people wouldn't. I think some people think that's the attorney in me. It has nothing to do with being an attorney. It's who I've always been. And so when somebody has a belief that something is stopping them or something is creating pain or whatever it might be, something is in their way. And I can see how they're what's in their way. I don't just let it go. And I don't feel like I'm always really graceful about it. Sometimes I just go in and I can be a little blunt.
Yeah. I find myself curious.
Sorry.
Yeah. Say it again.
People get truth.
Yeah. What's if you're going to be blunt and give truth right now, what's coming up for you right now?
Yeah. I wonder, my brain is wondering if this conversation is really going to be helpful to your tribe. Because I haven't shared any deep wisdom.
Go ahead. What's on your mind? There's some things I'll say, but go ahead. What's on your mind or in your heart? Yeah. Let me acknowledge you for saying that, firstly. I can feel an energy shift in me as well. And one of the things that I know for me is that I don't keep people safe anymore. That used to be what I did, so I'm not here to reassure in any kind of way. I want to meet your truth with truth. Right? The truth that I'm receiving as a result of you sharing that is a space in my heart that went off when you're like, I am wondering if this is actually going to be useful. And in my head, I was like, I got in my own mind of like, I know how powerful of a person you are. I know what you bring out to the world. And I was like, is this going to be useful for her to be able to bring out into the world or be able to integrate? We're having this conversation that feels more abstract about brilliance, and there's like these real world things that are going on. And that's where I felt it was going to go. And it was also really interesting to me because it gave me a chance to reflect back on me to be able to see, oh, where even mid-sentence I might create my own story about what is happening in here, or what is service and what is not. So I want to share that here from the standpoint of like, I actually wrote this down when you were talking. I just wrote down the words, I have no idea. I have no idea. And I think a lot of it has just been in our conversations. We've gone to places that, and things have been meaningful to you that I'm like, yep, I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have even seen it. It was like that moment that you took the breath and you're like, whoa, that it scared me that I didn't have an answer right away. And so I'd love to just invite both of us here. And we start off our conversations before we even hit the record of like being like, you can just be self-interested. I have what I do know is like, without any semblance of doubt within me, that there's someone here that's going to get what they need to get from this conversation. The part that's hard about this here, and this goes, and let's like, I can, when you are bringing people together for your own business, do you know what is going to be meaningful or useful for them? Is that something that you like, that you just know?
I have usually gone in, historically thinking that I knew what it was going to be, and then with practice have discovered I never know what it's going to be. Yeah. And here I know that this conversation is perfect, and that this conversation is perfect for me, for you, for your tribe, whether it is uncomfortable or really resonates with somebody. I know that.
So like, yeah. And so I want to just, I want to acknowledge you bringing this into the conversation. Right. And I also, I'm like, we can continue down where we're going, knowing that whatever needs to happen will be happening. My ask here, and this is for me, is as long as this is valuable for you and you feel like you're seeing things that you wouldn't normally see, then let's continue to the point where you're like, I'm not sure where it's going. Call that out too. Be like that. Be that fierce focus. Like, and it doesn't mean that we'll change the direction, but let's also make sure we have that, have that info and that truth in our conversations. Does that work for you?
I'll be real. You got it.
Yeah. There's a part. So like, now that you've said that, right? Tell me how you're feeling in this moment.
I feel grounded. I feel really comfortable. I feel warm. I feel confident. Feel a little bit sassy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the real me is sassy.
Yeah. Cool. There was something about it that just like, it shifted the energy that was in me. I was like, oh, there's a little toot in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something that's coming here around like just getting the experience of your heart brilliance even right now. And that element of like knowing, you said like saying the right things. And I got the sense that it was like you knowing how they're getting value directly from it. What I also get about you is that you're so practiced at this here that like you couldn't not let that happen if you tried. Some way, shape, or form, people are going to get something from you. It almost feels like the brain brilliance has had enough time to shine for you that it will be there whether or not you're trying for it to whether or not you're specifically catering to it or not. And there's this element here that makes me just wonder if like what we just experienced right now was like a byproduct of the heart brilliance, and the tension of where the heart versus brain brilliance might show up for you as you continue going out and trying different areas. To because I heard I'm just pulling up my some of my notes around where your brilliance lies with this here. I heard that there's a knowing that you have just as much access to wisdom as every other person on this planet. That there's the standards of your heart brilliance is to be real, to be love, and to be all of who you are in your highest and best self in each moment, becoming, unleashing, and unraveling. There's a lot of be in that. And the other part around this here is that you see them. You know how to both see them and hold them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this fierce focus about you that makes you a great attorney. It's part of the reason that it contributes in that way, but it is you, and you know it. And included in there is this element of like of sass as well. There's there's a completeness to you.
Mm.
And so I'm curious, like, what it'd be like to continue creating from that space. To continue, as we're looking at things that are happening in the environments around us and things within the business and things also within life, to be coming from that place of brilliance there. I'd be curious if that's what people are actually receiving from you. I think that's a part of me that wants to ask, like, what would it be like and such, but I don't think that's actually where we should go in this conversation. I think it's actually let's point out, like, these are some of your bedrock pillars, and like it means different things to you than it does to me. But if we can call out some of these bedrock pillars and allow you to start co-creating from that place there, knowing that you won't know what it is per se, but it feels like this is a time where people would need love. This is a time where people would really benefit from being able to be real, or to be held and to be seen in all the tumultuousness of this part of life and what's going on around the world. So there's a lot that this feels like in the heart brilliance, with that as its underlying foundation. There are a number of different opportunities that are available. Let me start off from there.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you the most uncomfortable with being coming from your heart brilliance?
The story that there's a right thing and a wrong thing, and that I need to do the right thing in order to be acceptable, worthy, all of those things.
And is there a time where can you tell me a time when you led from your heart brilliance where your acceptance was on the line? And can you tell me about a time where that worked out for you? I'd be curious if you've ever been able to lead from that heart brilliance.
I definitely have. I'm thinking of a time where I was with a new friend at the breakfast table. A new friend was talking about something that was very important to him, and I was getting lost. And I finally said, I have to tell you, I'm sitting over here, my mind is wandering. I'm not connected to what you're saying. What do you make of that? And my new friend, I knew that that would likely make my new friend feel bad. And I decided that truth in that moment and an opportunity to help him was more important than whether he liked me or ever spoke to me again. And beautifully, he spoke to me again, and we became good friends. But I knew that our entire friendship was on the line.
Right now, I'm experiencing something myself. Haven't been haven't been in that conversation with you. I'm like, either she has a lot of people where over brunch she gets really real with, or this is us right here, right? Yeah, and look to what it's led to, you know.
You met me there. That feels risky to me because not everybody can meet you there.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody is willing to go there, to that deepest place. And that's just where I live.
What made that moment different for you than how you might have shown up in the past?
I knew that what I was saying was risky, that it wouldn't necessarily feel good to you. And that you might not like me. It was an environment, a group that was new to me, and everybody might end up not liking me once they found out, the rude thing that I had done, that I had said, and that was at a point where I was really coming into myself and my groundedness, and I couldn't be true to myself and not say that.
Yeah. There's a number of different things. So I'm finding myself right now caught because I'm in that this like
Right.
I'm like caught right now. I'm like, ooh, I want to keep it this way, and you know what I'll do? I'll just be honest and just be in conversation with you right now, so we can
Awesome.
so we can go there, right? And then we'll take the next few minutes also just wrap up so that we can leave this conversation. But yeah, I remember that, Catherine, viscerally. And I remember I were like we were at breakfast, and I was like, I had a moment of being taken aback, a moment of my inside me. I felt like there was like a furnace that was growing, that was just like all of a sudden it just like had been turned on, like the fire had been turned on. And I I felt that entire day, the word that I used to describe it was angry. Right. And it wasn't angry at you. It was just anger, like, how is this not coming off clearly? Like, how am I not being able to articulate it? And it was the most wonderful thing that has happened to me, that happened to me that day, because I got a chance to be that day angry, to play from that. And in my mind, like, I am not someone who's allowed to be angry. That's not an emotion that feels safe for me, because other people don't feel safe around me, and it causes me, that's a place where I choose to hide and go from. It is very, very difficult to get me to that space, because it's the part that I'm always hiding away from. And it is the exact reason why I showed up into that community, because there were parts of me that I'm like, I don't get a chance to experience. And I only, if I could only show up with people in the joyful manner, then how can I actually really be with them? How can I really empathize? How can I be able to hold everything that's there? And so what's really funny is that, like, and I'm sure you picked up on this, but I'm so grateful for you for that moment. In fact, when you and I get together, I'm looking forward to our breakfasts. And each time there's been something different that has just completely brought things out. So now that I've said that, I needed that to get back into conversation with you here, because it was in me. That was a really important moment for me. I think the question that I'm going to ask you as we start to wrap this up here is, when I asked you to tell me about a time when you led from your heart brilliance, this came to mind. What was significant about that for you? And how might you, I want to make sure we capture the significance of that for you. And it might have been, I'll reflect back something that I heard here. You're in a new environment, right? You're in another room that, like, you've been called to come and join. What I'm hearing from you in this part of the conversation is that you chose not to perform.
Mm-hmm.
And instead you just showed up, and that you showed up in a different way.
Yeah. In our first real conversation,
yeah,
ever, I showed up that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like you asked a question there, and then I lost it.
Yep.
Something about what that did for me.
Yeah. So there's an element of that there. I just want to kind of, I think where we should go in this conversation is, I want to be mindful of our time here. All right. I think we should bring this to a close. Right. And because you had actually already articulated some of that here. My intention with today's conversation was not to just have an intellectual discussion around that element of you that guides what comes out of your mouth, that guides the words of that say the right things, or that informs the performer, but to really get a chance to be back in that space and to trust that brilliance more, and to see how in the span of a breakfast in a brand new environment where there's a lot of uncertainty as to who's going to be in this room, how are they going to take things, and so forth, to be able to have that information back around how the heart brilliance really can continue to serve in this place. And as you go back out from this conversation out into the world, and you're dealing with everything else around there, I want to make sure that there's that element of having one other piece of building upon that trust that is your actual core of this all.
Absolutely. I feel like, I got to experience the brilliance, even by going back and revisiting that, and feel it in my body and remember what that feels like, so that I can return to that.
Fantastic.
Because it's all here. Our whole conversation has been here for me. rather than up here. There, yeah, no temptation to go here or perform here with you. So I'm deeply grateful.
I acknowledge you for choosing to play that way, for stepping into this place and letting whatever came out or had to come out as a result be in there. So thank you for playing in that space. Thank you for being here, Catherine. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate being in this space with you. All right.
Thank you so much, my friend.